Welcome to the Fluent English Journey. This is a place where we help you improve your English learning experience. We do this by changing how you think about learning and by giving you useful tips and methods you can use right away. Today's lesson will be different from what you might be used to. We won't just talk about grammar rules or long lists of vocabulary words. Instead, we will look deeper into how your mind works when you learn a language. We will explore how your thoughts and feelings can help you learn faster or slow you down. If you are already at the C1 level in English, that means you have come very far. You can understand difficult texts and speak clearly on many topics. You can also feel comfortable in many English-speaking situations. But sometimes you might feel stuck. Maybe you don't feel like you are getting better, or you feel caught between being advanced and being truly fluent. Maybe you have studied for many years, but you still don't feel fully confident. Today, we want to help you with that. We will talk about the mental blocks that stop even advanced learners from reaching their best potential. More importantly, we will give you tools to break through those blocks. Let's start with an important truth that many language learners don't realize until it is too late. Your mindset is the most important factor in learning English. It is not just important, it is the key to success. Think about it for a moment. You may know people who have studied English for 10 years, but still find it hard to have a simple conversation. At the same time, you may know others who became fluent in only 2 or 3 years. What makes the difference? Is it intelligence? Natural talent? Or better learning resources? While these things can help, research shows that mindset is the biggest difference. How you think about learning, what you believe about your abilities, and how you handle mistakes and challenges have a much bigger impact than outside factors. Let's talk about 2 kinds of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. These ideas come from a psychologist named Carol Dweck. They have changed how people understand learning and success. A fixed mindset means you believe your skills cannot change. If you have this mindset about language learning, you might think, I am just not good at languages, or I'm too old to get fluent, or some people are born talented in English, and I am not one of them. These thoughts limit you a lot. They make you believe you can't get better, so you stop trying. When you don't try, you don't improve, which proves your negative belief right. It becomes a cycle that keeps many learners stuck. On the other hand, a growth mindset means you believe you can get better through effort and practice. People with this mindset see challenges as chances to learn, not as threats to their self-esteem. They see mistakes as helpful feedback, not proof that they are bad. They know that working hard is the way to master something, not just natural talent. When you have a growth mindset about learning English, everything changes. A difficult conversation with a native speaker isn't scary anymore. It is a chance to practice and get better. A hard article you don't fully understand isn't proof you will never be fluent. It is a chance to learn new words and improve your reading. This way of thinking can change your whole experience with English, and anyone can learn to think this way if they try. You might wonder, this sounds good, but how do I actually change my mindset? That's exactly what we will focus on today. The first step is to become aware. You need to notice your current thoughts and beliefs about learning English. Pay attention to what you say to yourself. Do you think, I will never sound like a native speaker, or my accent is too strong, or I always forget new words? These thoughts may seem small, but they're actually training your brain to fail. Every time you repeat a negative belief, you make it stronger and automatic. The good news is that you can create new ways of thinking by choosing different thoughts. This is not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring real problems. It is about replacing negative beliefs with honest and positive ones that help you grow. Let's practice this now. Instead of saying, I will never sound like a native speaker, say, I am improving my pronunciation every day and becoming more confident. See the difference? The first thought is final and hopeless. The second one shows that you are on a path and making progress. Instead of, my accent is too strong, try, my accent is part of who I am, and I am working on speaking clearly and confidently. This way, you stop feeling bad about your accent, but still focus on communicating well. Instead of, I always forget new words, say, I am finding better ways to remember and use new words. This makes you feel like you can solve the problem and get better at learning. These small changes in how you talk to yourself can have a big effect on your mind and actions. When you believe you can improve, you try harder. When you try harder, you see results. When you see results, you believe in yourself more. This creates a positive cycle that helps you learn faster. But changing your self-talk is only the start. We also need to look at deeper fears that stop many advanced learners. One common fear at the C1 level is fear of making mistakes. It may seem strange because you have made many mistakes already to get here. But as you get better, the pressure gets higher. You start thinking, I should know this by now, or people expect me to be fluent. This pressure makes you more afraid to make errors. But the more you worry, the more mistakes you make, because anxiety affects your brain. The answer is to change how you see mistakes. Instead of thinking mistakes are failures, think of them as useful information. Every mistake tells you something important about what you need to work on. If you say a word wrong, it doesn't mean you are bad at English. It means you need more practice with that word or sound. If you use the wrong preposition, it's not proof you can't learn. It's a signal to focus more on that area. When you make mistakes in English, they actually give you important information about what you need to improve. For example, if you often make errors with prepositions, words like in, on, or at, this is a sign that you should pay more attention to how these words are used. Thinking of mistakes as helpful feedback instead of failures makes learning much easier. Instead of feeling upset or discouraged, you can use your mistakes as stepping stones to get better. Some of the best language learners actually celebrate their mistakes. They know that each error is a step closer to speaking English well. Let me tell you about a very useful tool called a mistake journal. But we will use it in a special way. Whenever you make a mistake, write it down. But don't just write the mistake, also write the correct way to say it. Then, ask yourself, what can I learn from this mistake? Maybe you notice that you confuse two similar words all the time. That is useful information because it tells you what to focus on. Or maybe you find that you make more mistakes when you are tired or stressed. This tells you it might be better to plan important English practice when you feel fresh. Maybe you realize that you understand grammar rules, but find it hard to use them when you speak quickly. This means you might need more practice speaking naturally instead of studying grammar all the time. When you look at mistakes with curiosity instead of judging yourself, every error becomes a chance to learn something new. Another important change in how you think is to stop trying to be perfect and start focusing on progress. Perfectionism, wanting everything to be perfect, is a big problem for many advanced learners. You might have very high standards, which can be good sometimes, but often it stops you from trying. For example, you might avoid speaking because you're afraid of making mistakes. Or you might spend too much time making an email perfect when a good version would be enough. You might feel bad if you don't understand every word in a podcast or article. Perfectionism doesn't help you. In fact, it slows down your learning because it stops you from practicing enough. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for progress. Ask yourself, am I better today than I was last month or last year? If the answer is yes, then you are doing great, even if you are not perfect yet. One way to develop this progress mindset is to keep a progress journal. Write down things you can do now that you couldn't do before. Maybe you spoke well in a work meeting. Maybe you watched a movie without subtitles. Maybe you read a whole book in English. Maybe you had a deep conversation about a difficult topic. These achievements matter. Writing them down helps you believe in yourself and keeps you motivated, especially when progress feels slow. When you look back at your journal, you see clear proof of how far you have come. Now, let's talk about some common wrong ideas people have about learning languages. These wrong ideas can hurt your progress. One big mistake is thinking that learning should always feel easy and comfortable. When things get hard or confusing, some people think they are doing it wrong or they are not good enough. But real learning happens when you push yourself just outside your comfort zone. If everything feels too easy, you are probably not learning enough. The feeling of struggle, trying to find the right words or understand difficult texts, is a sign that your brain is building new connections. This is how you grow. This doesn't mean learning should be painful or too hard. There is a sweet spot where things are challenging but still possible. If you understand about 70 to 80% of what you hear or read, you are probably in the right place. The other 20 to 30% you don't understand yet is where the learning happens. Use clues from the context, guess the meaning, and slowly improve. Some learners only choose easy materials they understand 100%. This feels safe but doesn't help them improve. Others jump into materials that are way too hard, understanding only about 30%, which causes frustration. Finding the right level and being okay with not understanding everything is a key mindset change for advanced learners. Another important belief to think about is how you view time and effort. In today's world, many people want fast results with little work. They try a new method for a week, don't get fluent immediately, and then give up. Or they study a lot for a month but stop when progress slows. But learning a language is not a race. It's more like a marathon, or even better, a lifestyle. The best learners are the ones who include English in their daily lives in a way they can keep doing for many years. This means thinking long-term instead of short-term. Instead of asking, "How can I be fluent in 3 months?" ask, "What habits can I build now that will help me keep improving 5 years from now?" Thinking this way is freeing because it takes away the pressure to be perfect right away. You can enjoy learning and trust that steady effort will bring results over time. It also helps you choose better learning methods. Instead of switching from one trendy method to another, you can stick with activities that don't give instant results but build strong skills. For example, reading a lot might not feel as productive as memorizing vocabulary lists, but it actually helps your overall English more. You can also focus on real conversations instead of only doing textbook exercises. Conversations can be messy and unpredictable, but they help you learn naturally. Even though practicing speaking feels active and fun, focusing on listening and reading first helps your speaking improve over time. Speaking of listening and reading, there is one more mindset problem that holds many learners back. Many advanced learners believe they need to understand everything perfectly. They want to analyze every grammar rule, look up every new word, and know exactly why native speakers say things in certain ways. While studying grammar and vocabulary carefully is helpful sometimes, this way of learning can actually get in the way of natural language learning. Think about how children learn their first language. They don't study grammar rules or look up words. Instead, they listen to a lot of language that makes sense to them. Over time, they slowly learn patterns and grammar without thinking about it consciously. As an adult learner, you can benefit from some clear explanations, but you also need to let your brain learn naturally. This means you should expose yourself to large amounts of English content, like books, movies, podcasts, and trust your brain to absorb patterns, even if you don't fully understand the rules right away. This requires trust and patience. You have to believe that your brain is built for learning languages and that it is working, even if you don't realize it at the moment. Sometimes, you will see a word many times before you feel ready to use it yourself. You might hear a grammar pattern hundreds of times before you start using it in your own speech. This is perfectly normal. Many learners make the mistake of trying to use new words or grammar immediately after learning them. Then, when it feels hard, they get frustrated. A better way is to focus on listening and reading first. With enough exposure, The new words and structures will slowly become part of your active speaking and writing without forcing it. Now, let's talk about a very important mindset change. Instead of thinking of yourself as someone outside the English-speaking world trying to get in, try to think of yourself as part of the English-speaking community. Many learners feel there is an us and them, native speakers are them, and learners are us. This creates a barrier inside your mind that lowers your confidence and makes you feel like you don't belong. But the truth is, English is spoken all over the world by more non-native speakers than native speakers. There is no one correct way to speak English. British English, American English, Australian English, Indian English, Nigerian English, and many other forms are all real and valid. Your English, with your own accent and way of speaking, is also real and valid. You are not trying to become someone else. You are adding to your language skills. When you think like this, you stop feeling like an imposter. You stop apologizing for your accent or your mistakes. You stop feeling like you need permission to speak. You understand that you have the right to use English to share your thoughts, ideas, and connect with others. This change in how you see yourself is very powerful. Instead of saying, "I am learning English," you say, "I am an English speaker who is still improving." This may sound like a small change, but it affects how you act when speaking English, how others see you, and most importantly, how you see yourself. And how you see yourself determines what you can achieve. Let's look at another important mindset, your relationship with your native language. Some learners try to completely forget or avoid their first language because they think it shows weakness to think in that language. But this creates problems and makes learning English harder. Your native language is not your enemy. It is a helpful tool and a strong base for learning English. Yes, the goal is to think directly in English without translating, and this will happen naturally with enough practice. But for now, it's okay to use your native language as a bridge. Studies show that people who keep using all their languages well tend to have better mental flexibility and awareness about language. The key is to use your native language wisely, not to depend on it too much. For example, when you learn a new English word, it's okay to look at its meaning in your first language to understand it quickly. But then also look at English definitions, example sentences, and how the word is used with other words to get a deeper understanding. When preparing for an important talk or presentation, you can plan your ideas first in your native language. But then try to say those ideas in English without translating word for word. Try to find natural English ways to say the same thing, even if it is very different from your first language. This balanced approach lets you use your native language as a tool, not a crutch. Another big problem many advanced learners face is comparing themselves to others. Today, with social media, it's easy to see other people's best moments and feel bad about yourself. You might see someone speaking English fluently and think, "I'll never be that good." Or hear someone with perfect pronunciation and feel unhappy about your own accent. Or meet someone who learned English much faster and wonder what's wrong with you. This comparison game is harmful and slows you down. Everyone's journey to learn a language is different. People start at different levels, have different amounts of time to study, learn in different places, have different reasons for learning, and different natural talents. Comparing yourself to others is like comparing apples and oranges. It doesn't make sense and only takes away your happiness. The only comparison that really matters is comparing yourself to the person you were before. Are you better than you were 6 months ago? A year ago? 5 years ago? If the answer is yes, then you are moving in the right direction. It doesn't matter if someone else is learning faster or is at a higher level. Their path is not your path. Your job is to be better tomorrow than you are today. This way of thinking, focusing on yourself instead of others, is very freeing. It helps you celebrate when others succeed without feeling jealous or threatened. It helps you appreciate your own progress without needing other people's approval. It keeps you focused on your own path and stops you from being distracted by what everyone else is doing. Now, let's talk about something very important, the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation comes from outside you. Maybe you learn English because you need it for a job, to pass a test, or because your family wants you to. These reasons can help you at first, but they often don't last long. When the job, test, or pressure goes away, your motivation can disappear too. Intrinsic motivation comes from inside you. You learn English because you enjoy it, you are curious about the language or culture, or it feels meaningful to you. This kind of motivation is stronger and lasts longer. The good news is that even if you started learning for external reasons, you can develop intrinsic motivation. Find things about English or English-speaking cultures that you really like. Maybe you love reading English books, or you're interested in American politics or British history. Maybe you enjoy English music, movies, or podcasts. Maybe you have English-speaking friends and value those friendships. Or maybe you simply enjoy the challenge of learning something difficult. Whatever it is, find what truly interests you about English and make that the focus of your learning. When you do things you enjoy, learning feels like fun, not work. And when learning feels fun, you do it regularly without needing to force yourself. This leads to another important change in mindset, moving from thinking, I have to I get to. Many learners feel like they must study or practice English, which makes it feel like a chore. Instead, try thinking, I get to learn English today, or I get to practice speaking, or I get to read this article. This small change reminds you that learning English is a privilege and a chance, not a burden. Millions of people around the world would love to have the time and resources you have to learn English. When you remember this, it's easier to feel thankful and excited about learning instead of annoyed or resistant. Now, let's talk about a mindset problem many advanced learners face, the intermediate plateau. When you start learning a language, progress often feels fast. You learn new words and grammar every week and get better quickly. But as you get more advanced, progress seems to slow down. You might study for months and feel like you're not improving much. This is totally normal. Learning a language is not a straight path. It happens in bursts, times of fast progress followed by plateaus where you are reviewing and strengthening what you already know. The problem is many learners think these plateaus mean they've reached their limit or that their way of learning isn't working. They get discouraged and might quit or try a completely new method, which often makes them lose the progress they had. The mindset you need is to understand that plateaus are not just normal, they are necessary. There are times when your brain is organizing and absorbing what you have learned. Even if it feels like nothing is happening, your brain is doing important work. Think of building a house. Sometimes you see big changes, like putting up walls or a roof. Other times, workers do hidden but essential work, like putting in wiring or plumbing. Both parts are important. Language learning is the same. Sometimes you add new knowledge, which feels exciting. Other times, you deepen and connect what you already know, which might feel slower but is just as important. When you know this, you can relax during plateaus instead of worrying. You can trust the process and keep going, knowing that a breakthrough is coming. You can use plateau times to focus on mastering what you already know, not just chasing new things. Work on speaking smoothly and correctly, not only learning new words or grammar. This patient and trusting attitude is what helps learners reach high levels, while others give up when progress slows. Finally, let's talk about talent and natural ability. Many people think some people are naturally good at languages and others aren't. This idea is discouraging and mostly wrong. There might be some genetic factors, but research shows they matter much less than people think. What looks like natural talent is often because of good opportunities, smart learning methods, and steady effort. Someone who learns languages easily might have grown up hearing many languages, giving them an advantage in hearing sounds and switching between languages. They might have learned good ways to study early on. Or they might just practice more than you think. Believing in fixed talent is dangerous because it can stop you from trying hard or pushing through difficulties. If you think you're not naturally talented, you might give up when things get hard, thinking you can't do it. But if you believe that language skills come mostly from practice and good methods, you give yourself power. Every challenge becomes a chance to improve instead of proof that you can't do it. The idea that you can improve your language skills with practice is supported by science. Your brain stays flexible throughout your life, able to form new connections. This means you can grow your ability to learn languages no matter where you start. You can get better with effort and practice. Another important mindset shift is learning to accept discomfort and uncertainty. Many learners want clear rules, definite answers, and predictable results. But language is naturally messy and confusing. There are exceptions to every rule. Words can have many meanings depending on the situation. Even native speakers often don't know why they say things a certain way, they just know it sounds right. This confusion can be frustrating if you want everything to be logical and neat. But being comfortable with not understanding everything perfectly is actually a sign of a good language learner. People who can handle this uncertainty, who make smart guesses, and who try to communicate even when they are unsure, learn faster than those who need everything to be certain before trying. You can get better at dealing with uncertainty by practicing it. Put yourself in situations where you don't understand everything and try to stay calm and focused instead of anxious. Read books or watch shows that are a little too hard for you, so you have to guess the meaning from clues. Have conversations where you express complex ideas even if your language isn't perfect. Try new words and grammar even if you're not sure they're correct. Every time you do this, you build your confidence and your ability to use English well even when things are unclear. You also build resilience, which is very important for long-term success in learning a language. Now, let's talk about identity and language learning. Who you are, your values, your culture, your background affects how you learn English and what kind of English speaker you become. Some learners feel like speaking English means giving up their cultural identity. Others feel like they are pretending to be someone else when they speak a foreign language. These feelings can cause inner resistance that slows down learning. The solution is to create what researchers call an integrated multilingual identity. This means seeing yourself as someone who can switch smoothly between languages and cultures without losing who you really are. Learning English doesn't make you less yourself. It makes you more. It gives you more ways to connect with people, learn new things, and express yourself. Think of learning a language as adding more colors to your paint palette, not replacing the ones you already have. Your native language and culture stay at the center of who you are. English is just another tool that lets you express more and connect with more people. Some learners find it helpful to have a slightly different persona when speaking English. Not because they are being fake, but because different languages let you express yourself in different ways. For example, English might let you be more direct than your native language usually allows. Or it might make you say things more clearly that your culture usually leaves unsaid. These differences don't mean you're being fake. They mean you're adapting to different ways of communicating, which is a smart skill. Another important mindset is to learn from everyone and everything. Some learners are very picky about who they practice with or what materials they use. They want to learn only from native speakers with a certain accent or only use materials made by teachers. While it's good to have quality materials, being too picky can limit your learning. The truth is you can learn from anyone and anything. Talking with other learners who are not native speakers can be very helpful. You might learn new words from them. You might practice explaining things when communication is difficult. You might feel more confident because it's less pressure. Even hearing bad English can help you because it teaches you what doesn't sound right. You can also learn from materials not made for language learners. Real English, like podcasts, news articles, novels, or social media posts, often teach you more than textbooks because they show how people really speak. The mindset you need is to stop waiting for perfect lessons and instead become an active learner who can get something useful from any experience. This makes you more independent and creative in your learning. You don't need the perfect teacher or textbook or classroom. You can learn anywhere, anytime, from anyone. This mindset is very powerful and opens up many more chances for you to improve. Let's talk about something very important in learning a language: self-compassion. Many learners are very hard on themselves. They get upset about mistakes, criticize their accent, feel embarrassed when they don't understand something, and treat themselves more harshly than they would treat a friend. This kind of self-criticism doesn't help. It actually makes learning harder. When you are anxious or worried, your brain doesn't work as well. You find it harder to remember and understand new information. When you feel ashamed, you avoid speaking or practicing because you're scared of making mistakes. But without practice, you won't improve. The better choice is self-compassion. This means being kind and understanding toward yourself, just like you would be with a good friend. Self-compassion does not mean you give up or make excuses. It means you accept that learning is difficult, mistakes will happen, and struggling doesn't mean you aren't capable. Instead of thinking, "I'm so stupid, I should know this by now," try thinking, "This is hard, and it's okay that I'm finding it difficult. I'm doing my best and getting better." Instead of saying, "My English is terrible," say, "I'm still learning, and I have already come a long way." At first, being kind to yourself might feel strange if you're used to being tough on yourself. But studies show that people who treat themselves kindly actually do better. They keep going when things get hard, take healthy risks, and reach their goals. Now, let's discuss a very modern issue: social media and online learning communities. These platforms give you amazing chances to meet other learners, find resources, and practice English. But they also create some problems. You might see people saying they became fluent very quickly, or you might find ads promising fast, magical results. You may feel pressure to show only your best English and hide your struggles. The mindset you need here is to be careful and honest. Use these platforms to find real learning help, but be skeptical of any promises that seem too good to be true. Remember, people usually share their successes and hide their struggles. What you see online is only part of the story. Focus on building real connections with other learners. Share your real experiences, including mistakes and challenges, instead of trying to look perfect. Use social media to support your learning, not to measure your value or progress. When you are caught up in trying to look perfect or comparing yourself to others, social media becomes stressful instead of helpful. Let's also think about how your mindset influences your learning strategies. What you believe about how languages are learned affects how you study. If you think learning is mostly about memorizing, you might spend a lot of time with flashcards and vocabulary lists. If you think grammar rules are most important, you might focus on textbook exercises. If you believe in natural learning through exposure, you might prioritize reading, listening, and real conversations. The truth is, effective learning uses all these methods. But at the advanced level, C1, your strategy should change. By now, you already know a lot of vocabulary and grammar. Now you need to develop depth, nuance, and fluency. This means focus less on single words and more on common phrases, idioms, and word combinations. Pay attention to how native speakers actually use language in real situations, not just grammar rules. Practice real communication where you explain complex ideas and work through misunderstandings. Choose fluency and naturalness over perfect accuracy. These changes might feel uncomfortable because they are less clear and harder to measure than beginner activities. You might not see how much you improved right away, but trust that these activities are what you need at this stage. Another important mindset is how you handle feedback and correction. Some learners feel very sensitive about correction and think it means they are not good enough. Others ignore correction and keep making the same mistakes. The healthy approach is to welcome feedback as useful information, but not let it hurt your confidence. When someone corrects you, thank them. Remember the correction and review it later if it's a common mistake, but don't let it stop your conversation. Try to be open to feedback without feeling defensive or upset. It's also important to ask for feedback. Many people don't correct learners because they don't want to be rude. You can say, "I'm working on my English. Please correct me if I make mistakes. I appreciate it." This lets others know you want to improve. You can also record yourself speaking and listen carefully to find places to improve. Or work with a teacher or tutor who can give you clear feedback. Finally, let's talk about experimentation and playfulness. Many advanced learners become very serious and strict about their English. They focus only on being correct and appropriate. While it's good to care about accuracy, being too serious can slow your progress. Learning is easier and more effective when you allow yourself to play with the language, make mistakes, and try new things without fear. Language is creative and playful. Native speakers enjoy playing with words, making jokes, using metaphors, and bending rules for effect. If you always play it safe and only use language structures you feel 100% confident about, you miss out on developing this fun, creative side of language. The mindset shift you need is to give yourself permission to experiment. Try out new words and structures. Make jokes, even if they don't always land perfectly. Use metaphors and figurative language, even if you're not sure you're getting them exactly right. This playful approach is essential to move from advanced to truly proficient. It helps you develop your own unique voice in English, rather than just repeating phrases you've memorized. It also makes your English more interesting and engaging, not just technically correct but bland. Of course, be mindful of the situation. You probably don't want to experiment too much during a serious job interview or business meeting. But in casual conversations, personal writing, or low-pressure situations, let yourself play. Try using that idiom you recently learned, add a colorful adjective, or share a cultural reference. Even if you make a small mistake, you're building your range and confidence. Often, people will find your experiments charming and genuine rather than problematic. Next, let's consider the mindset of contribution instead of just consumption. Many learners see themselves only as students, always taking in information from others. But at the C1 level, you have a lot to offer. You can help learners who are less advanced. You can share your unique perspective with native speakers. You can contribute to discussions, create content, and add value to communities. Shifting from being a consumer to a contributor is powerful. It changes your relationship with English from dependency to agency. You're not just trying to get something from the language, you're using English to give something back to the world. This might mean starting a blog about topics you care about, participating actively in online forums or groups, volunteering to help new English learners in your community, creating videos, podcasts, or other content in English. Contributing shifts your mindset from scarcity, "I'm not good enough yet," to abundance, "I have valuable things to share." This new confidence and sense of purpose can accelerate your learning because you're using English for meaningful, authentic reasons, not just practicing for some future time when you think you'll be ready. Let's also address a common mindset trap, the belief that there is one right way to learn English. The language learning world is full of competing methods: grammar translation, communicative approaches, input-focused strategies, output-focused methods, spaced repetition, extensive reading, and more. Each claims to be the best or fastest. The truth is, different approaches work better for different people and situations. The mindset you want to develop is one of flexibility and personalization. Be willing to try various methods and see what fits you best. Feel free to mix and match. Adjust your approach as your needs and level change. To do this well, you need to be reflective and self-aware. Notice which activities energize you and which drain you. Pay attention to what leads to real improvement and what feels like busy work. Be honest about your strengths and weaknesses. For example, if your reading is strong but your listening is weak, prioritize listening practice, even if reading feels easier. If you understand well but struggle to speak or write, focus on production skills, even if it's harder. The mindset of being your own best teacher, taking responsibility for identifying your needs and seeking the right solutions, is incredibly empowering. You don't need to wait for the perfect method or teacher. You can design your own learning path based on what works for you. Another crucial mindset shift is understanding the difference between studying English and using English. Many learners spend all their time studying grammar, memorizing vocabulary, and doing exercises, but very little time using English to communicate. This is like reading about swimming without ever getting in the water. At some point, you need to stop preparing and start doing. The mindset shift is from "I'm not ready yet" to "I'll learn by doing." Yes, you will make mistakes. Yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. But this is how you develop real proficiency. Use English in authentic contexts where the focus is on meaning and communication, not just correctness. This might mean joining a book club that discusses literature in English, participating in online communities related to your hobbies or career, volunteering for projects at work that require English, traveling to English-speaking countries and interacting with locals, making friends with English speakers and having regular conversations. Using English as a real tool for communication is essential for reaching high proficiency. The mindset of being a user of English rather than just a student changes everything. It gives you real motivation, meaningful feedback, and genuine practice that no textbook can provide. Finally, let's talk about the role of patience in language learning. We live in a culture that values speed and quick results. We want shortcuts and hacks. But language learning is slow. It requires thousands of hours of exposure and practice. There are no real shortcuts. The mindset you need is one of patience and long-term commitment. This doesn't mean being passive or accepting slow progress. It means focusing on steady, sustainable effort instead of chasing quick fixes. Measure your progress in months and years, not days and weeks. Focus on the process instead of obsessing about the outcome. When you develop patience, you can enjoy the journey of learning rather than just endure it. You start to appreciate small victories, moments of connection, and the gradual growth in what you can express and understand. You can be present with your current level instead of constantly wishing you were more advanced. This patient, focused mindset is not only more pleasant, it's more effective. When you're less anxious about progress, you're more relaxed, and relaxation helps learning. When you enjoy the process, you're more likely to stick with it long enough to succeed. Patience isn't about giving up or accepting defeat. It's about trusting the process and committing to show up consistently over time. Strategic rest and recovery in language learning. Many learners push themselves relentlessly, feeling guilty whenever they're not actively studying or practicing. This can lead to burnout and eventually quitting. But just like physical training, language learning needs periods of rest and consolidation. Your brain requires time to process and integrate what you've learned. Taking breaks isn't laziness or a lack of commitment. It's a vital part of the learning process. The mindset shift is from "I must study every day or I'll lose progress" to "I need to balance intensive practice with rest and recovery." This might mean taking one day off a week with no formal study, having lighter weeks after intense effort, or simply enjoying English content without trying to analyze or learn from it. This balanced approach is more sustainable over time. You'll be less likely to burn out, more likely to stay motivated, and paradoxically, you might learn faster because rest helps your brain consolidate knowledge. Many learners report breakthrough moments happening during breaks, not study sessions. Trust that rest is productive, not wasteful. Trust that breaks won't cause you to lose progress. This mindset lets you create a healthier, more sustainable rhythm for your language journey. Celebrating small wins. Advanced learners often focus so much on what they haven't achieved yet that they forget to celebrate how far they've come. They dismiss achievements as not good enough and keep moving the goalposts, which can be demoralizing. The mindset shift here is to actively celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Did you understand an English joke today? Celebrate it. Did you express a complex idea successfully in conversation? Acknowledge it. Did you read a full article without looking up words? That's worth recognizing. These small wins add up and prove your growing competence. Celebrating doesn't mean becoming complacent. It fuels further motivation. Create rituals around celebration. Keep a success journal. Share your wins with friends or learning partners, or reward yourself when you hit milestones. Positive reinforcement creates a cycle of motivation and achievement. You feel good, keep going, make more progress, and feel even better. Embracing your unique learning style. There's endless advice on how you should learn English. Speak from day one. Focus on input first. Use spaced repetition. Immerse yourself completely. While helpful, not every approach works for everyone. Some learners are visual, others auditory. Some thrive on structured study, others prefer immersive learning. Some are energized by conversation, others prefer reading and writing. There's no single right way. The mindset shift is to give yourself permission to learn in ways that work for you, even if they differ from expert advice or others' methods. Hate flashcards? Don't use them. Love grammar study? Include it. Not ready to speak? Focus on input until you are. Be honest about what energizes and helps you. Design your own learning path based on your personality, preferences, and lifestyle. This personalized approach is more effective and sustainable than forcing yourself into someone else's method. Mindset of abundance versus scarcity. Many learners feel they don't have enough time, resources, talent, or opportunities to practice English. This scarcity mindset causes anxiety and makes learning feel like a struggle. The alternative is an abundance mindset, which recognizes there are endless opportunities to learn and practice English. You have access to millions of books, videos, podcasts, and people worldwide thanks to the internet. More resources than any generation before. With this mindset, you stop feeling desperate or anxious. You trust that another chance to practice or learn will always come. This relaxed confidence makes you more effective. You're not driven by fear. You can be selective, choosing quality over quantity. You can be patient with your progress, knowing you have the time you need. You can also be generous, sharing resources and knowledge freely, confident there's plenty for everyone. The abundance mindset transforms language learning from struggle and competition into exploration and collaboration. Overcoming fear of judgment. At the C1 level, people expect you to be fluent, which can create pressure. You might worry about making mistakes, feel embarrassed about your accent, or fear not understanding something. This fear can make you avoid speaking or cause anxiety that hurts your performance. The mindset shift is to realize most people aren't judging you as harshly as you judge yourself. Most are impressed you communicate in a second language at all. Think about how you react when you hear someone speak your native language with mistakes. Do you judge them or respect their effort? Most people extend the same kindness to you. And if someone does judge you unfairly, their judgment says more about them than about you. It doesn't affect your worth or ability. Letting go of fear frees you to take the risks you need to improve. You can speak up in meetings, ask questions when confused, and engage fully without hesitation. Trying out new expressions and playful language is essential for reaching the highest levels of proficiency. Giving yourself permission to experiment helps you develop your own unique voice in English, making your communication more natural and engaging. Connecting English learning to your core values and purpose. Motivation thrives when your English learning connects deeply to what truly matters to you. Reflect on why English is important in your life. Maybe it's about connection, communicating with people from different cultures. Opportunity, accessing career possibilities otherwise unavailable. Personal growth, challenging yourself and expanding your skills. Contribution, sharing your knowledge and perspective with a global audience. Make these reasons explicit and keep them front and center. When motivation wanes, remind yourself of your deeper purpose. Choose learning activities that align with your values. For example, prioritize conversation if connection matters most, or focus on content creation if contribution drives you. This approach makes your learning meaningful and sustainable, helping you stay committed even when progress feels slow. Building self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is your belief in your ability to succeed at specific tasks, which strongly predicts achievement. It's different from general self-esteem. It's about trusting yourself to reach goals through effort. You can build self-efficacy by setting small, achievable goals and accomplishing them to build confidence. Observing others like you succeed. If they can do it, so can you. Seeking encouragement and positive feedback. Taking care of your emotional and physical well-being. Reflecting on past successes to remind yourself of your capabilities. Strong self-efficacy fuels confidence and determination, helping you approach English learning with a can-do attitude. Deliberate practice versus passive exposure. Both are important, but serve different roles. Passive exposure, like watching movies or listening to podcasts, helps maintain and absorb language naturally. Deliberate practice requires focused effort on specific skills with immediate feedback and repetition. At the C1 level, many learners rely too much on passive exposure because it's comfortable. The mindset shift is to regularly engage in deliberate practice, even if it's demanding. Examples include recording and analyzing your pronunciation and fluency, writing essays and getting detailed feedback, shadowing native speakers to mimic intonation and rhythm, pushing yourself to use new vocabulary and structures in conversation. This focused, effortful practice drives real improvement. Embrace the productive discomfort. This is where growth happens. Overcoming perfectionism and procrastination. Perfectionism often leads to procrastination. High standards make starting feel overwhelming, causing delays and guilt, which feed anxiety and more procrastination. Break this cycle by lowering the bar to start. Give yourself permission to do imperfect practice, such as, I'll speak English for just 5 minutes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I'll write one messy paragraph. Once you start, momentum usually carries you forward. Even small, imperfect actions are far better than none. The mindset shift is from I'll do it when it's perfect to I'll do it imperfectly now and improve over time. This good enough mindset is liberating, allowing you to take action despite fears and doubts. Remember, you cannot improve what you don't start. The power of community and social support. While you can learn on your own, having a supportive community makes the journey easier and more enjoyable. Community provides accountability and encouragement, shared resources and learning strategies, social motivation to keep going during tough times, opportunities to practice and teach others, reinforcing your own skills. Join online forums, social media groups, or local clubs for English learners to connect with others. Being part of a community transforms learning from a solo struggle into a shared adventure. Finding the right learning community. Look for a language exchange partner or conversation group near you. Join classes where you can meet other learners. Start a study group with friends who are also learning English. The key is to find people who are supportive and positive, those who celebrate your successes and encourage you through challenges. Avoid communities that are competitive or judgmental, where people show off instead of genuinely supporting one another. The right community can transform your learning experience from a lonely struggle into a shared adventure. Viewing challenges as opportunities. When you face difficulties in English, your first reaction might be frustration or discouragement. But what if you trained yourself to feel excitement instead? Try thinking, great, I found something I can improve. This mindset changes your emotional response. Instead of avoiding challenges, you start seeking them out because you know growth happens there. It doesn't mean frustration disappears. It means you acknowledge it, but choose to focus on the opportunity within the challenge. At the advanced level, challenges are subtle, nuances of meaning, cultural references, idioms, and style. Seeing these as chances to refine your skills rather than evidence of limitations helps you stay motivated and productive. Identity-based habits, becoming the person you want to be. Most people try to change habits through willpower. I will study English 1 hour every day. This often works briefly but is exhausting and hard to maintain. A more effective approach is to change your identity. Instead of, I want to speak English fluently, think, I am an English speaker. Instead of, I should read more in English, think, I am someone who reads in English. This shift from doing to being is powerful because your behaviors flow naturally from your identity. When you see yourself as an English speaker, you automatically do things English speakers do. Willpower becomes less important because your actions align with who you are. You cultivate this identity with small, consistent actions. Every article you read or conversation you have is a vote for the identity of an English speaker. Over time, these votes add up and your identity shifts. You stop feeling like you're pretending. You genuinely become a multilingual person using English confidently. Bringing it all together. We've covered many mindset principles that shape your English learning journey. Growth mindset over fixed mindset. Embracing mistakes and progress over perfection. Understanding how learning works. Trusting the long-term process. Integrating with English-speaking communities. Using your native language strategically. Avoiding toxic comparison. Cultivating intrinsic motivation. Reframing obligation as opportunity. Understanding plateaus and rejecting limiting beliefs. Embracing discomfort and ambiguity. Developing a multilingual identity. Learning from everyone and everything. Practicing self-compassion. Navigating social media mindfully. Shifting from accumulation to integration. Welcoming feedback. Experimenting playfully. Contributing, not just consuming. Personalizing your approach. Using English for real communication. Cultivating patience and balancing rest. Celebrating small wins. Honoring your learning style. Adopting an abundance mindset. Releasing fear of judgment. Connecting learning to your values. Building self-efficacy. Engaging in deliberate practice. Overcoming perfectionist procrastination. Building community. Viewing challenges as opportunities. Developing an identity as an English speaker. These aren't just nice ideas, they're practical, research-backed principles that will transform your learning if applied consistently. Your next step. The great thing about mindset work is you don't need special resources or circumstances. You can start right now, wherever you are. Notice your thoughts and beliefs about learning English. Challenge limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. See mistakes as valuable data, not failures. Celebrate progress, not just how far you have left to go. Use English for authentic communication, not just preparation. You are already ready. At the C1 level, you have advanced language skills. What you need now is confidence and the right mindset to use what you know, take risks, and engage authentically with English in all its messy, beautiful complexity. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Be patient, but proactive. Be kind, but push yourself to grow. This balance of acceptance and aspiration will carry you from advanced to truly proficient. Remember, language learning is a lifelong journey. There's no finish line. Even native speakers constantly learn new words and expressions. This perspective removes pressure to be perfect and lets you enjoy where you are now while growing every day. A final tip. As you move forward, pick 1 or 2 mindset shifts that resonate with you most. Focus on those over the next few weeks. Don't try to change everything at once. For example, you might view mistakes as data, not failure. Practice self-compassion instead of self-criticism. Small, consistent changes lead to big, lasting transformation. Maybe you'll focus on celebrating small wins. Maybe you'll commit to using English for real purposes rather than just studying it. Whatever you choose, give it your full attention and notice how it changes your learning experience. You already have everything you need to reach your English goals. You have the language skills. You have access to unlimited resources and countless opportunities to practice. What you're developing now is the mindset that will help you fully utilize your abilities and opportunities. This mindset work isn't separate from your language learning, it is your language learning. The way you think about English, about yourself, and about the learning process determines what you're capable of achieving. When you get your mindset right, everything else falls into place. You find motivation even when things get tough. You persist through plateaus. You take the risks necessary for growth. You enjoy the journey, rather than just enduring it until you reach some goal. Here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, commit to being conscious of your mindset. Notice your thoughts about learning English. Question beliefs that limit you. Choose empowering perspectives. Treat yourself with compassion. Celebrate your progress. Take risks. Use English for real purposes. Connect with your deeper motivations. Build your identity as an English speaker. Do these things consistently, and I promise you'll see changes not just in your English skills, but in your entire learning experience. You'll feel more confident, more motivated, more capable. You'll start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You'll begin to trust yourself and the process. That trust, confidence, and growth-oriented mindset will serve you not just in learning English, but in every area of your life. Thank you for joining me in this masterclass. Thank you for investing time in yourself and your growth. Thank you for being part of Fluent English Journey, where we believe anyone can achieve their language goals with the right mindset and approach. Remember, you're not just learning English. You're expanding your world, connecting with new people and ideas, and becoming the multilingual, globally minded person you're meant to be. Your English journey is part of your larger life journey. Every step you take, every conversation you have, every word you learn moves you closer to the person you want to become. Keep going. Keep growing. Keep believing in yourself. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, and it starts with changing your mindset. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying the incredible journey of mastering English.